This is for you and all the things that we've been through. I know you're wrong about the last time that we ever spoke aloud. Don't let your own goodbyes, don't let them own you always. You know you're right, that's why you run away. Two things we couldn't be together now, we're not lonely. All I have is much better when you look at it plainly. Some of the parts of
Welcome, everybody, to tonight's coverage of the Las Vegas 195, presented by Wendigo Studios. Eric Wineland joining you here from our next stop on the area Lodgebox series circuit, stopping here at Las Vegas, this fast 1.5 mile D-shaped tri-oval. Fourth race of the season presents its fourth unique track type and challenge to these drivers. We'll have the coverage tonight from Clark County, Nevada, here in the iRacing Simulator with myself, Eric Wineland, and also joining me tonight, the producer, the mastermind of Wendigo Studios, Harold Darner. Harold, I want to know, are you feeling lucky tonight?
I don't know. Let's see what the rolling the dice will happen. I mean, we've been dealing with 2 races already here in the desert, and we've seen early cautions being the ticket each night so far. Maybe these drivers here are a little bit more seasoned behind the Xfinity drivers. Maybe they'll get in some green flag pit stops to start off the event.
Certainly will be an interesting one to see. Las Vegas presents quite a challenge to these drivers. The reconfiguration that happened back here in, I believe, 2006 put progressive banking in the corner, so expect the groove to widen out a lot tonight for these area Lodgebox series drivers. And of course, it just continues to hold that speed year after year. Harold, who do you have your eyes on tonight? Who's going to be the one that is going to master these bumps of turns 1 and 2 and the smoothness of 3 and 4?
You know, always Cameron Hearn is a fan favorite. He came in and messed around with the trucks last night, but I think number 54, Chris Seidenfaden, he had an issue yesterday, but I was able to overcome it. Did a really good job getting his car or his truck up to the checkered flag last night. So I think the 54 is definitely the favorite for tonight.
I would tend to agree with you based off of what we saw last night, but I think the VRA guys of Cameron and Allen are going to be hungry. Allen having a terrible last couple weeks. Cameron already 2 wins on the season. He's just absolutely gone out here and dominated, but don't cut out any of the guys that are still up here on the practice charts. Watch out for that number 2 of David Weishart tonight, as well as a 51 of Springer. Really showed his hand at Auto Club last week as one of the fast guys here in this series. Las Vegas, time to get ready to go with 7 minutes remaining here in practice. Harold, I don't know if we've been able to check in with any of the drivers as we ride on board with Mr. Weishart here, but I expect it to be pretty green, and if so, I'm thinking about 30-35 laps for these guys on each stint if it stays green.
I mean, they have 3 sets of tires in the pits, so 130 to 35 laps. That's gonna be pretty much using all of them. So, so you think anybody might actually just try to two stint a set of tires?
That's certainly going to be a great question to keep in mind tonight. I don't really know how far they can go on a stint of tires. I'm sure the right sides are going to wear pretty hard with the speeds we see here at Las Vegas. Let's see, the track got real shaded here. That's going to be something interesting. The sim time tonight is 3 p.m. currently. getting ready to go green right around 4 p.m. local in the sim. So gonna be racing in the late afternoon, but not quite reaching that nighttime is the right time type of vibe here at Las Vegas. But regardless, track's gonna have a lot of pace in it, and it's gonna be a wild one to watch.
All right, looking for the LodgeTravelWorld.com weather for race number 4 here. Partly cloudy skies. Air temp 67, 75 on the track. As you're saying, it was nice and shady. We saw that yesterday. And so those drivers that are watching that are not drivers in the iRacing, the simulator does a really good job of giving that extra grip to the heavy shaded areas.
And that's something to watch tonight, I'm sure, as the giant billboards we got down here in turn 1 and 2 keep the corner fairly well shaded on the bumpy side of the racetrack. 3 and 4 will definitely have the sun beating down on it all night tonight.
About 5 minutes to go in qualifying, or not qualifying, in last practice. Kind of like the happy hour for these guys, so they can kind of check out their cars, see what they do in the current conditions in the simulator, and since you're a driver in tomorrow night's series, it's probably a time for you to check to see what kind of fuel load you got, right?
Oh yeah, there's some guys go out there just to have fun with it and get warmed up, and some others like myself, I kind of have a little bit of a regiment that I try to follow, get myself prepped, make sure I get all the information I need to have that's going to be pertinent for the race tonight. As we see a lot of guys pulling off in packs here, we're going to get a taste of what we're going to see tonight watching the 49 of Alan Elwood here with that PPC scheme in the Lordstown Motors car of Cameron Hearn.
Yeah, James Chainwolf putting another Happy Halloween car together here, the Northern Capital in those blood red colors. Love that little. He said he just threw this together. I don't know about that. Must be that kind of talent. If he did,
he's definitely got some serious skills, because that is a great festive scheme there. We also get a look at the number 54 of Chris Seidenfaden, last night's winner in the Northern Capital Truck Series.
Oh, look at that! How he's got that spec map looking at the skyline on the bottom of that 54. That is some good. So see how it kind of fades away when the sun. That is amazing.
That's a very impressive touch. There are some very talented people in the iRacing community that are able to come up with just some stellar schemes, and that's a showing of it right there. And then, of course, David Weishart, who I have on good authority from some conversation last night, Harold, that he told the gentleman doing his paint tonight, make it as bright as you possibly can, just so it's as obnoxious as it can be for most of the drivers.
You don't want to hit nothing. Don't nobody hit me.
Very, very hard to miss him. We go through the rest of the field here with 3 minutes remaining in practice. Cameron Hearn, your fastest at a 30.191. As we look at the 39 of Kyle Sieg. Now we go to the 56 of Nick Trader. Get a good look at that One Mind Two Designs Chevy Camaro.
He was involved in a caution last night in his truck that basically took him out of the race. We'll look for him to rebound today.
Alan Ballacino making his second start in the Lodgebox series. Here in the number 70.
Have a metallic purple. Kind of reminds me of the Stingray Vets back in the day. Rafe in his 8th here.
A lot of good looks tonight. Oh, a little contact there for Shane Thieren, and he's getting mixed in with the 28, the 38, and the 28. 28 of Christopher Bouchard. Or Boussard, I'm sorry. So we'll get just a little spotter's guide there for you. See all the different schemes we'll see tonight. Still Hearn your fastest at a 30.191. Elwood at a 30.21, and Weishart following him close, basically at that same number. So first top 3 here, Harold, are covered. Cover them with a blanket. It's pretty darn close.
Yeah, we got all these cars. I'm trying to get through all these paint schemes to make sure that all the cars are legal. We've had a couple issues with that, but it looks like we're getting most everybody's settled in on that. I don't see anybody. The race control asking me to go through real quick, and did that already. So moving on.
And now the final minute of practice. Going to see a lot of guys doing some pit stop practice. If we do end up stopping under green, got to get it woed up tonight. Pit road speed 50 miles per hour for these guys. Long way down from about 170 going through the corner. Got to have some good braking tactics, especially if you're going to try it on the track. Got to make sure you have that communication. As we saw in the ARCA series, there was a breakdown in that caused some problems on Monday night.
Drew Trader say that he is trained a young grasshopper of Shane Wolfe. So that must be he must be an additional painter at the 192 Designs Group. Young Shane Wolfe.
Just over 30 seconds to go before we see the cars transition into qualifying. Harold, I'm gonna ask you. We know we talked about it last week. What do you think is going to be the right time for these guys to go out and make their laps and see if they can qualify it on pole?
I anticipate these guys are going to be get in their cars, watch for a time to maybe the lull in the towards the end and a lull in the actual wind out here. But I'd say probably like a second half, like around 6 minutes or so, is what we've been seeing. Some of the higher end drivers, guys with the higher I rating, have been waiting towards the end of that. And I see you do that quite a bit, actually, like waiting towards the back half of qualifying.
Oh yeah, there are a couple guys out here that will definitely pay attention to the conditions on the track to find the best time to go, kind of give themselves the best chance they can to qualify up front. Up on board here, the first driver peeling off of pit road was the 83 of Shane Wolfe, but now it's going to be the 32 of Lane Doyle, I believe, making his first start in the Lodgebox series here tonight.
Have the RPM and miles per hour up on Lane Doyle there, so you can kind of give an eye on him as he goes through the corners here.
It'll also be interesting to see whether the first lap or the second lap is going to be the faster of the two, Harold. I'm not sure that these guys can build up enough heat in the tires on lap one to get or on the warm-up lap, I should say, to get a flying lap one.
But yeah, we saw the ARCA cars. It was lap one, and then the trucks last night. It was kind of an even mix between lap one and lap two.
See Lane Doyle making his first flying lap here. And pretty much, I think that's what we're going to see tonight, is running the bottom through 3 and 4. 1 and 2 opens up the grooves a little bit, especially with so many bumps there on the bottom of 1 and 2. You'll see that if Lane decides to take to the bottom through 1 and 2 here, just watch the car travel. He's going to ride just above him, actually, and try to minimize the bounce in the car to keep speed in it. 30.36 was up there in practice, about a tenth and a half off of what best time in practice was. We'll see what Lane Doyle can do off of turn 4 here to complete lap number 2. And Lane Doyle is going to clock in a 30.379, a little slower. So first lap for Mr. Doyle was the better of the two. We'll see if that holds for the rest of these guys tonight. Christensen currently your provisional pole sitter as we ride on board with Ryan Honeycutt. Correct, Balancino now with a 30.291, and Ryan Honeycutt is slamming his wheel because he's already not happy. A 30.444 for the driver of the 59 car from Hendersonville, North Carolina. Not quite what he wanted out of his qualifying effort. That lands him just outside the top 10, I believe, actually. That's going to put him at 11th right now.
Saw that car jump out from the behind him, coming out of 3 and 4. Like I said, think about the qualifying, as we talked about it before in our weeks this week, was the smoothness. You got to keep that car aligned right. If you're sawing on that wheel, you're losing speed. So Honeycutt was basically trying to keep that car from getting away from him in that last corner.
Two more drivers out here turning times. Eric Shugart just completed his laps. 30.621 for his efforts. Is going to leave him 15th currently. Meanwhile, Forrest Smith out here in the 84 car. I believe that's Urbanks on the side of that one from Charleston, Arkansas. 30.407 moved him up the board quite a bit there, sitting P7, and see if he can get any better on lap number 2. Looks like a pretty clean exit off of 3 and 4 for Mr. Smith. Across the line, 30.646, actually slower on lap 2. So it looks like the first lap tonight, just like the ARCA cars on Monday, has been the better go of it for these drivers taking their early times in qualifying. So during the lull, let's go ahead and bring you the playoff picture presented by Elwood Designs. So Cameron Hearn snatching his second win of the season last week. 2 in a row is currently his streak. At the top of the board there, Seidenfaden also winning at Daytona. But it's the rest of these guys we're going to be keeping an eye on, Harold. Who's going to get lucky here in Vegas and potentially lock themselves in to postseason?
Oh, Garrett Grant, he's always a contender. He's been having, not like you said, but a lot of these guys are having tough start at the beginning here. You know, Shane Wolfe as well. Ryan Honeycutt, as we've seen him, he's in 20th, and he just got to put a string together. He's fast, but has been caught up in quite a few scuffles on the racetrack. So keep an eye on these guys. Ricky Springer, he's pretty good at qualifying the car in a good position. He's in 3rd tonight.
Yeah, I would say we probably haven't seen the best out of a couple guys below that cut line there, and that cut line is oh so close. Shane Wolfe 1 point out, Larch 2 out, and Weishart is one of the ones that I'm talking about there. 3 points out right now. And also, I believe Alan Elwood and Ryan Honeycutt. I don't think we've seen the best of them yet. They haven't had the best of luck through the first 3 races of the season. Alan is 13 points out, Ryan 32 points out. Still plenty of season left for them to rebound, but only 12 races in the regular season, so not a ton of time. Plenty of racing, but not a ton of time for them to be able to try to advance the points position or get a win to make sure they're locked in.
We got Andrew Player, the pink for breast cancer awareness, number 13.
6.94 was his first lap. He's actually going to clock a second lap and be faster at a 30.531. Doesn't move him too far up the board. P16 just ahead of Eric Shugart for the 13 car. And now we got the hot hand. 2 in a row so far for Cameron Hearn. We're going to see how he qualifies here on his first lap. The driver from the Valley, South Carolina.
At Cameron before, we've had him in the in car at home. I said he's having an issue with his computers. He wants to have a good quality stream to, or actually connection to iRacing, so he'd rather not. He's up right to the top, but he's always got sure hands. You don't see him sawing on the wheel, and he lets the car kind of do all the work for him. And I don't know how he does it, because I know most of the time I got a white knuckles when I'm at some of these racetracks, and he's always cool, calm, and collected.
And that smooth ability that he has allows him to do things like what he just did, go out on his first lap, put it on pole, and kick the clutch in and say, I'm calling it right there. Cameron Hearn, now your provisional pole sitter with 3 minutes remaining in the session. No other drivers currently sitting on track. Got 25 total connected to the server tonight, and 18 of them have taken time now, just waiting on the 33 of Dixon, the 99 of Dean Prince, the 49 of Alan Elwood, who we see going out now, as well as the 2 of David Weishart and the 5 of Garrett Grant, all pulling off from pit road, and then Seidenfaden and Shane Wolfe, 2 others that have yet to take time.
Be able to look at the outlap here with David Weishart, one of the guys that you work with a lot.
Oh yeah, we get that race control in during the Truck Series races. A little distracted there down the backstretch. Probably didn't do his best at getting up to speed. We'll see he can do here through his first lap. Harold, take us through a lap here at Las Vegas. What's David battling here?
He's got a loose off condition based on the tires not being hot yet. He's got this wound up to the high side, which is what we see all the time in the you get that high speed going on through the backstretch. In the trucks last night, they didn't even have to come out of the throttle, but here coming off the gas just ever so slightly, as he's trying to get the most speed coming to the stripe here. Way down on the apron. You saw that last night as well. And talking to people on iRacing, not familiar with iRacing, the spotter in game doesn't know where you are when you drop below the white line, and doesn't tell you that there's people outside of you Or if you're on the track and a guy's below the apron, it doesn't tell you he's there either. Kind of makes it really difficult. And as race control last night, you guys were having to sort that out a little bit.
There's been some talk of that this week in the admin chat, making sure that everybody's tiptoed away in the correct running that they need to be in. David clocks in a 30.301. Meanwhile, lap number 1 treated Alan Elwood good, but lap number 2 treated him even better to a provisional pole spot. 30.234 moves the 49 car to the top of the board, ahead of Hearn, Balancino, and Weishart. And Christensen, the top 5. We got 2 more on track right now. Seidenfaden and Shane Wolfe clocking in their time. Seidenfaden P2 currently 30.261. As we follow him off of turn 2 here, see if lap number 2 can be a little bit better for him like Alan Elwood had.
Some of these drivers really have that speed for qualifying, but now, you know, as a driver racing this track, he's going to just bring it on in here. You know, how much stock do you put in qualifying? I mean, the long runs are going to be probably the key here, unless we do start getting into an issue with short runs based on yellow flags. But long green runs here, you're going to have to basically figure out how to get the most out of your car each lap without tearing up those tires.
Oh, yeah. But iRacing does assign your pit stall for the race based off your qualifying position, so some of these guys may want a little better pit stall in case of a late race yellow may happen as well. Shane Wolfe flies across the line as qualifying comes to a close, and we'll go ahead and get ready for your grid here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank Northern Capital for their support of the Northern Capital Truck Series and all of us here at Area iRacing. A special shout out to Russ Anderson and Steve Anderson of Northern Capital for their support and helping us do this week in and week out. Now, to get you ready for the Las Vegas 195, we'll go ahead and go through our starting lineup. On pole tonight, the 49 of Alan Elwood, who is outside the 54 of Chris Seidenfaden. Row 2, Cameron Hearn, looking to continue his winning streak, flanked to the outside by Alan Balancino in the 70. Row 3, David Weishart and Rick Christensen, followed by the 51 of Ricky Springer and Lane Doyle making his debut outside of row 4. Michael Larch will start on the inside of row 5, and one of the Trader boys, Nicholas Trader, outside row 5 in 10th.
Got Smith and Bouchard in row number 6. Inside row 7 is Barry, and outside him is Rafe Slate in the number 8. Inside row number 8 in the 64 is Robertson. Outside him is Honeycutt, one of our in-car drivers tonight. Number 38 is Shane Theron in the inside of 9. Outside of him is Sieg in the 39. Gagliano and Grant will be in row number 10.
And rounding out your field tonight, 21st through 25th, we got James Shane Wolfe on the inside of row 11. Andrew Player to his outside. Eric Shugart in row 12 with Brian Dixon. And running shotgun on the field for the green flag tonight, Dean Prince in the 99 car and lucky row 13. We're getting ready to roll here, Harold. Final thoughts before we get under green.
These guys are basically, I believe these guys are more veterans. They've been doing iRacing a little longer. I see these guys taking it easy on the first couple of corners, getting their cars, the tires going to get warmed up, but they're not going to try those 2 wide, 3 wide runs that we saw early in the race yesterday. I think these guys will start doing that towards the second half, but I think the first half they're going to be really feeling out themselves and others. You'll see 2 wide for passing, but I don't think we'll be seeing 2 wide racing early on. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm thinking.
Definitely going to be a great one to see. I want to thank you all for coming out to tonight's coverage presented by One to Go Studios. And a special thank you to Harold here for being a producer and one of the voices you'll hear throughout the night. Getting you set, can Cameron Hearn continue this winning streak tonight? Can someone like Kyle Sieg break through with a win finally? Meanwhile, the team points all caught up nice and close at the top. Virtual Racing Alliance with a 38-point lead over Samson Motorsports in the team standings. Each of those teams having 3 drivers in these races that all count toward those points as well. It'll be a great one here from Las Vegas. Just shy of 4 p.m. in the sim time. Alan Elwood gonna lead us to the green light, or the lights on the iRacing Ford Mustang pace car are off. Chris Seidenfaden to his outside. Pace car peeling off. And we are green from Las Vegas. Alan Elwood out to a healthy lead over Cameron Hearn. The two starting to try to stretch their legs over the Samson Motorsport drivers of Chris Seidenfaden and David Weishart. But man, the battle for 9th, 10th, and 11th place, Harold, has not stopped since that drop of the green flag. Rafe Slade on the bottom of Christopher Bouchard, on the bottom of Michael Larch, excuse me. Christopher Bouchard towing just behind.
Yeah, this little section here definitely pushing early, but like I said, those front runners pretty much single file all the way back to this group here. They're just kind of getting those tires built up with the air temperatures and air pressures, and they'll start racing here momentarily. But I think this first run, we got somebody in the wall there, huh?
Yeah, Kyle Sieg might have gotten quite a bit of a boot into the outside wall in the entry turn 3. It's going to slide him back to P14 now, battling Jordan Berry in the 57 now, and I think maybe a little bit of damage to that 39 car on the left front fender.
The guys using the inside of that apron. Not as many as we saw yesterday, but they are down there. I think this track is one of the ones that they use it a lot. Chicagoland, if I remember right, is probably the worst being used of.
I was going to say, does that provide a distinct advantage to the drivers, Harold? I mean, they clearly go down there quite a bit.
You know, that's something that I'd have to ask you, the guys that are actually in the cars. I mean, I've been told that it helps them maintain the speed, but I don't know. I kind of like to just stay up there because I think it would eat up the tires, no?
It's certainly something that drivers keep in their minds, I'm sure. I don't know how the Xfinity car reacts differently than maybe the Cup car, going with the Xfinity car technically having less downforce and maybe not as much grip on that apron. We see 3 wide off into 3 here. The 51 of Springer on the bottom, Slate stuck in the middle with the 32. Lane Doyle making his debut on the outside. Gonna fall behind Slate. Still, Lane Doyle qualified P8, currently running P9. Still a strong start to his debut.
Well, that time the group seemed to be content with running the low line right along the white line and in the middle groove out as well. No one really went down under the apron this time. And it's just interesting how you're saying that the different downforce of the different vehicles, we may see that line not being used as often as we saw last night with the Truck Series. And number 2 sliding around a little bit there.
Weishart fallen from his starting position a little bit down 2 spots. You see Springer and Balancino go side by side through 1 and 2. Give that 5th spot to Ricky Springer in the 51. Gonna slide on up in front of Alan Balancino. Meanwhile, Weishart and the 59 of Ryan Honeycutt trying to work their way through the field here. And don't look now, but the driver that Kyle Sieg blamed at fault is right in front of him. That is the 59 of Ryan Honeycutt.
39 on his inside corner panel there as they enter in turn 3 and 4. Pretty much side by side. 59 on about that mid to high groove there.
You'll see at the front end of our shots, the front 2 have checked out. Alan Elwood and Cameron Hearn well ahead of the rest of the field. Chris Seidenfaden in the 54 is 2.5 seconds off the lead, leading this train. But these front 2, Harold, have checked out. I gotta know, are they using too much up too early and gonna pay for it on the back end?
I know Cameron has that ability of finding speed wherever he is on any track. But if he did, he'll make this adjustment. But I think in these guys' mind right now that they're just going to get everything they can get and then figure out what the tires do on their first set of pit stops. They have a strategy, though. I'm sure of that.
Oh, yeah, and you see them with that huge gap to the rest of the field. It's got to help both of them with a little bit more clean air out there compared to the rest of the field. Seidenfaden battling away with Christensen right now for the third spot. Gonna keep that one to the 54, but here comes the 51 of Ricky Springer. What a run he is on. Qualified 7th, is already moving himself up into 3rd on the bottom of Seidenfaden here off of 4.
Springer has shown speed on qualifying, having 2 top pole positions on the season already. So he does have short end speed. But as we were talking about earlier, because you have to be able to strategize. When are you going to use your stuff up, and what's too much? If you do too much too early, and then you'll have that huge fall off, and then everybody will just drive right by you on the end of the end of your fuel stint.
Springer was fast last week at Auto Club, continuing that run he's on. What momentum that 51 car has, and just behind him, still cannot get the battle for 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, all settled out. Alan Chino hanging on to 6th right now in front of him. So we got the 32 of Doyle, the 8 of Slate, and the 28 of Bouchard that are all still squabbling for position.
These guys are too wide, but nobody's really very aggressive. They're kind of running just to try to get by each other, but they're giving each other room. So this is this type of racing that I'm sure these drivers appreciate, getting that full little bit of cushion from their fellow drivers so they can actually feel their cars out. This is what good green flag runs look like in the beginning of a race. Now with the extra horsepower and downforce of the Cup Series car, how much lifting are you guys going to have to be doing in the corners here? Because I heard the guys in qualifying slightly coming out of the gas in 3 and 4. Yesterday they were full wide open all the way around the track in the Truck Series.
I think with the severe lack of downforce in the Xfinity car, Harold, that these guys are going to be off throttle quite a bit throughout the night. I mean, like you said, we already heard it in qualifying. Tight moment there for the 28. The 59 is going to catch the rear end of them. A little bit more contact as these guys scramble 3, almost 4 wide on the front stretch. Quite a moment there between the 32 of Lane Doyle and the 28 of Christopher Bouchard. But the Cup Series tomorrow night, make sure you check it out here on the Area iRacing Twitch channel, presented by Want to Go Studios. Definitely going to present itself a different type of look with so much downforce on the Cup Series car. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of wide open, full throttle racing tomorrow night.
A lot of action to pick up on the racetrack right now as we're trying to get the cameras to go through and find the best things to show you. Whoa, they almost 3 wide here between the 5, the 39, and the 59, and the Shane Wolfe right there behind. Whoa, contact into the wall. 83. Oh, man. That was a pretty paint scheme until the 83 finds the inside wall. Bringing out tonight's first caution.
They had contact about a lap and a half ago, Harold, and I think that we just finally saw the close racing spill over. We'll get a ride on, or a ride above these drivers with the one to go replay. And see, yeah, 3 wide, almost 4 wide there. Honeycutt looking to make a move up the middle. He goes, or excuse me, Sieg goes.
The 28 hits the wall, and a 39 comes down and collects the 83. And it looks like the 29 went through everyone. Wonder how that worked there.
Just a byproduct of wrong place, wrong time for Kyle Sieg in the 39. Came down into 3 of James Shane Wolfe. I think Shane Theron there, Harold, is going to be the luckiest man alive, because I'm pretty sure that the 28 either lagged through the wreck. We saw him blink there, and I don't know that the 38 made contact with him.
Yeah, it looked like he went straight through. The 28 was Chris Bouchard. He's out now, though.
Pit stops happening here. Alan Elwood on pit road, as well as Cameron Hearn and most of the top 10. Couple guys choosing to stay out.
A lot of guys with fuel only, apparently, as we see the front two taking 4 set of tires.
So we got a couple guys that actually missed their box right now. Grant, no stop time, as well as the 13 of player. And then, as you highlighted, 2 either fuel onlys or 2 tire stops. So probably fuel onlys for Ricky Springer in the 51 and Rafe Slate in the 8. The rest of the drivers choosing to take 4 tires. And that is starting with Alan Elwood, who will roll off of pit road in 11th and gear up for his restart. Now mired back in the pack. We'll see what he and Cameron Hearn can do. They were out to such a great lead. See if they can cut their way through the pack here on this upcoming restart.
54 has shuffled himself to the lead on the first set of pit stops under caution.
And while we have a break in the action, fans, be sure to visit our sponsor, Swift Lifestyles, for clean supplements that help you improve your focus and gaming. Use discount code AREA iRacing for 15% off of your entire order. Huge shout out and special thank you to Swift Lifestyles for their support of the Swift Lifestyles Pro Series, the ARCA series that runs on Monday nights. Catch that every Monday here on Area iRacing. Gonna get them lined up double wide here on the next lap. Harold, that first stint was just shy of 20 laps. I think we saw a pretty good indication of what the race is gonna look like. Did you really expect, though, that the 15 of Hearn and the 49 of Elwood would get out to such a huge lead?
I did not expect anyone to take off so quickly, but those two teams, they're teammates, so they worked together, which allowed them to kind of break away, like you said, from the field and nice, cool air. And they know that they weren't going to fight one another, so that's always a good thing to know that what your partner is going to do. And had some fast cars, put them up in the front, so that Cameron started in the 3rd spot, if I remember right. Yeah, first and third, they were one right behind each other, so that would probably really helped out with Cameron pushing him throughout the beginning of the race.
Be interesting to see, because a lot of those guys did take 4, right? And we highlighted that there are not too many tire sets sitting in the pits. I think you said 3, right, Harold? So
3 sets in the pits.
Their first set so early. You got 2 more sets left for 90 laps. Do you think that's going to be enough for these guys? They're running, I think, 75% on the fuel capacity, which is about 14 gallons. Yeah,
that's what Cameron Hearn's already mentioned in the official chat, that we need more tires for this amount of fuel. The number 28 gets the EOL, Chris Bouchard, and he's back after disconnecting.
Not a good start to his night, as well as the 83 of James Shane Wolfe. Absolutely hard hit into that inside wall where there is no safer barrier. Thank goodness it's iRacing and it's virtual, because that would have been a terrible crash otherwise. Getting set for the restart here, double wide. Now you got Chris Seidenfaden leading him toward the green. They'll have Lane Doyle flanked to his outside. Lane making a splash here on his Lodgebox Series debut. And then a couple guys taking that fuel only. Harold, I'd say we got to keep our eye on those guys, because I think that might be the strategy so far for that first early stop.
Right, basically almost double stinting the tires is probably a good idea, knowing that you don't have very many. And you always want to have a spare set when you at the end of the race when you need it.
Fresh tires starting in 9th will be Alan Elwood, and then Cameron Hearn to his outside. We'll keep our eye on those two as they try to fly up through the field. Alan Ballacino behind them as well. The rest of them in front of them are on no tires with fuel for Springer and Slate. Gonna go back under the green flag here. Chris Seidenfaden gets us going. A little bit of tire spin on the outside. Sees the 8 of Rafe Slate a little out of shape, and already 3 wide as we head off into turn 1.
Good jump by the 54. All by himself out there. And then the rest of the group behind him, 2 and 3 wide, all the way to the back.
4 wide as we come down the backstretch into turn 3. Weishart on the bottom. He had Balancino battling with the 34 of Dean Gagliano. And the 5 of Garrett Grant stuck up on the top. Here comes the black and neon yellow machine of Cameron Hearn cutting his way through the field with those fresh tires already. He's gotten ahead of Alan Elwood. And he is the first car on fresh tires.
$15 up to the 3rd spot. 83 the damage on his racer.
Chris Seidenfaden continuing to lead, working out to about a half-second lead now over Cameron Hearn. Watch that gap cut down with the fresher tires behind. As Hearn, all it may take him, Harold, is one corner, and he might already be there.
Oh, he's going to catch him right here in turn number 1. He's going to take the high side. He'll blow right by the number 54 as he get it entering turn number 1. He'll take that midline, and there he goes right around the 54. And the number 2 of Dave Weishart following suit as we go on to the backstretch.
Little cleaner look there from the 54 compared to what we saw last night when he was also racing Cameron Hearn in the Northern Capital Truck Series. Saw a little contact between those two, wiped Cameron Hearn out from that race last night. Different scripts here tonight, although fresh tires and still very early on in this one. Pick up a battle for 4th right there between the 38 of Shane Thieren and the 54 of Chris Seidenfaden. Thieren on no tires as well as Seidenfaden. So this is just a straight up battle right now on guys on the same tire life.
Right behind him is Rick Christensen on better tires, though.
I was going to say, as the Christensen machine moves in, we got contact at the back of the field here. It is absolutely wild. The 5 of Garrett Grant getting into it with the 70 of Alan Balancino. Somewhere around there, I couldn't quite see everything that happened there. We'll have to see if we can get that one on replay.
Try to grab it here. Honeycutt and Springer is what I'm seeing. We'll try to see if we can catch it and get back to live action.
Picking it up at about a lap behind him here. Springer, remember, he only took fuel on that last stop.
Right.
Honeycutt.
Right in the Rafe. And then Rafe and Springer there.
I think the big action happens down here in turn 3. It's where I picked it up.
Ooh. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, Springer absolutely pitched Honeycutt sideways, and actually Honeycutt disconnected from the sim. I'm not sure if he... Harold, that might have been an instance of an old F4. And if so, that was pretty fortunate for Garrett Grant, the 5 and the 70 of Alan Balancino.
It may have been. We'll have to see. We'll get back to live action here. With Cameron Hearn and company. Man, that's probably why the caution didn't happen, because Honeycutt just bounced. He's like, I'm done. So.
Already race control. We get the tower chatter here in our headsets, although you guys are not able to hear it on the broadcast. Tower's requesting Ricky Springer to the hauler post race, so that'll be a conversation that I'm sure he does not want to have, but he will continue on. Currently 14th for the 51 car, falling to 15th now. Meanwhile, out front, Cameron Hearn still holding a small lead over David Weishart. Alan Elwood not far behind, and then they got that huge gap again. This time it's 3 of them. Hearn, Weishart, and Elwood with the huge gap over the rest of the field. Shane Thieren is the first car that has not taken his tires yet in 5th as Christensen got by him. You can see Christensen at the tail end of the picture there. Harold, if you're a driver like Cameron Hearn, David Weishart, Alan Elwood, or Rick Christensen, you've used that early set of tires now. How would you go about it? We documented there's about 110 laps were left in this one when we went back under green with 2 tire sets remaining in the pits. So how do you manage that the rest of the way home?
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out. It's like, if I was them, I wouldn't have done that. But since I only have 2 sets left, I'm gonna have to try to break this up. But 100 laps. That's 30 laps. But right now, on top of what they already have, so that's a lot. That have to be what, 35. They'll have to really extend it to 40 laps each time they go by to get as much out of the tires and the fuel that they can. But it doesn't seem to be bothering the way their cars handle. They get a little slower, but they're not stepping out or anything, and I don't think they're in danger of blowing a tire.
Currently 15 laps since they bolted those tires on, just ticked inside of 98 laps remaining in this one. Ern's still your leader over Weishart. So it'll be interesting to see how these top 3, and I mean, if you throw 4th in there with Christensen, who might be managing his stuff a little better, looking at the interval between himself and these top 3, how they're going to choose to run the rest of the race. I would expect the drivers that did not stop, Shane Thier and Chris Seidenfeld in the first 2 of those, 5th and 6th place, would be thinking about pit stops here before too long.
There's 3, 4. We got Lane Doyle, Larch as well, and then Shane Thieren and Seidenfeld. They all are on the same set of tires. And Dean Gagliano also has not come down to pit at all, but they will be the first ones at least show us. But they have one yellow flag condition in there, so they probably gave him 2 or 3 laps.
They say for every caution lap, the fuel use is equivalent to, or excuse me, 1 green flag lap is 2 caution laps. So use half the amount of fuel you do under caution than you do under green per lap.
28.
That's what that's what they normally say. Whether they do a good job of saving or not under yellow is a whole different story. Add Garrett Grant in the 5 to that list. He rolled down pit road, but he did not stop in his box. He had a short pit road time. So he's going to be one of the ones that is thinking about pitting it soon as well. Meanwhile, up front, David Weishart in the 2 is closing in on the 15 of Cameron Hearn.
So the drafting going here, this is not normally known as a draft track, but could David Weishart be using the 15 to help him conserve fuel and tires by being in his draft like that and being in the wake there as he's taking to the inside, coming into turn 3?
I think you just found your answer right there.
He's like,
Weishart deciding to hang a left.
But, he's been there for a little while, though. He's been there for quite a bit.
He may have had Cameron Hearn use some of his stuff up a little bit, and Weishart's going to decide to try to take it now and get into that clean air now that they're just about 20 laps into their stint. And Alan Elwood using the absolute very top of the racetrack. Not something we see too much. He almost got the wall there off of turn 2. He is a Kyle Larson fan, so I imagine he's pretty well versed at trying to run the top at some of these racetracks.
Big Larson. We all know, talked about it quite a bit with our Hunter Sleppy. He talks about the Larson line up there quite a bit with us. But it takes a talent here. I mean, a lot of these, are some of those people that are not iRacers. I mean, I've seen you guys get out there in the Cup cars. A little bit of bumping and running there.
Weishart put a slider on Cameron Hearn, and I don't know that Cameron was too keen on that. He's going to cut underneath him, try to get the crossover done. It does not look like he's going to be able to complete it, falling back in line. Now, new leader, David Weishart in the number 2.
David Weishart takes the lead here. But I'll say it is as the wall, with the way you guys, it depends on how you drive. I think I saw you're not a VR racer, so you have a monitor in front of you. How do you gauge the wall? I mean, you can't look over your right shoulder to see how far you're off. You're pretty much gauging how far that right fender is off the wall, right?
A lot of practice time and a lot of paint left on the wall. I'll just leave it at that. Some guys on a single monitor, it's really hard to gauge because you don't have that wide field of view. Guys on 3 monitors or even in VR, it's a little easier just having that extra field of view. We got pit stops happening. Chris Seidenfeld already getting his service done. The 34 of Gagliano on pit road. Here comes the 6 as well of Michael Larch. Both of those guys and Lane Doyle also making their stops. So we'll see where they wind out here. Seidenfeld, one of the highest up to make his stop, is currently a lap down. He's he's actually a lap and a half behind the leaders at the moment. But he had a quick stop on pit road, so we'll see what he can do.
Weishart's starting to step off the lead a little bit, so he may have been saving a little bit behind these guys as he's about a half a second ahead of Elwood and Hearn.
You got two guys in this top three that have the best average finishes in the Lodgebox series in its young history in 2021. And then you have Alan Elwood in the 49, who Harold has just had the worst string of luck over the first three races to start the season that I think I've seen in a long time. I haven't seen someone with such bad luck, but he's trying to get it righted and hoping tonight will be his night.
Yeah, how do you, as a driver, how do you psychologically prepare yourself when every single week you seem to get everything right, and then you get involved in something, and most of the time, the drivers will tell you it wasn't me, right? So he's been saying he's been caught up in other people's overestimation of their skills,
and that can be one of the most frustrating things as a driver, Harold, is just that you do everything you can to make sure you are in the best position that you can be, and just that one thing goes wrong, and you start questioning everything, right? Was I in the wrong place at the wrong time? Could I have done something different? And half the time, the answer is really no. You just didn't expect something like what has happened to Alan to happen. I have played baseball throughout my life, so I like to make the comparison to a batter in a slump for the bad luck string that I get as a driver, and that it will end at some point. You just got to do enough to get yourself out of it. And Alan Elwood currently doing enough to get himself out of that, running second right now. Seidenfaden is the first on tires. Shane Theron has cleaning up the rest of these stops for you guys. Shane Theron has now made his stop. The 38 car runs behind Seidenfaden. And then the 6 of Michael Larch, the 5 of Garrett Grant, Lane Doyle, Dean Gagliano, and Christopher Bouchard, who is a couple laps down due to incident. They have all made their stops, and now we watch the top, I believe it's top 15, top 16, that'll be coming up on pit stops here in about 10 laps. So as you see the battle there between the 54 of Seidenfaden getting ahead of the 8 of Slate. Slate is a lap ahead, I believe, right, over the 54. So Seidenfaden currently your lucky dog position. He's trying to chase down the leaders, Cameron Hearn, Alan Elwood, and David Weishart, to get himself back on the lead lap.
Limp shot here. You see the number 2 coming up to the stripe, followed by Elwood and Hearn. See that lead there that Weishart has developed over the 49 of Mr. Elwood.
Just inside of a second for those two drivers. Elwood chasing Weishart. Bit of contact just back here in the pack. 51 of Springer had himself a moment right there with the, I believe, the 22 of Eric Shugart. We picked them up here on the backstretch. Springer there ahead of Trader.
Here's the number 5. He's got a whole head of steam here with the new tires. Mr. Grant goes to the inside between Trader and gets behind Springer.
It's put those drivers in a pretty tough position because Seidenfaden, Theron, Large, Grant, they're all one lap down. And they're may need a caution to cycle themselves back into the correct positioning, but they would have to take a wave around, and it would not be ideal for them. Currently, Seidenfaden, I want to say he's just about 10 seconds on track behind Weishart and quickly closing that gap. He's something about, I'd say, a lap, or excuse me, about a second and a half faster per lap as we try to get a wide shot here of 54, where he has been on track to compare to where the 2 of David Weishart is.
I can see they're just now in turn 1 and 2 as he got to the stripe. I could see him just off the edge, that bright those bright colors of the top three are helping us out with.
And that's what 10 seconds looks like on a 1.5 mile track, folks, is a nice, huge gap, almost a straightaway's worth for Seidenfaden and Thieren to make up. Pick up our battle for the lead. Well, I say battle, but Allen's still holding about 3/4 second behind Weishart. Allen, you see him there. He's starting to try to step up toward the top. That shade is really starting to come over turns 1 and 2, something we highlighted at the top of our broadcast tonight. And Allen trying to take advantage of the long way around, but maintaining their speed, that progressive banking that Las Vegas has through the corners. 20 degrees, but progressively banked, getting steeper and steeper as you get further and further up the track.
Just making sure that he doesn't have to get bottlenecked in the throttle by staying up there. But we see Weishart now on his 34th lap. And you were saying you thought about 35 with this fuel. They're going to try to stretch it, I think, to 40. If they can do that, they can do this without having any issue with their tires, I believe. We'll have to check that out.
That's something that Christensen might have done well enough. He's been not too far off the pace of these top three, running there in 4th, but he has consistently put in lap times around the 32-second mark, so he might have done a better job of trying to hang on to his stuff, get a little deeper into this race before he takes one of his last 2 tire sets remaining there in the pits. Early caution for James Shane Wolfe in the 83. Contact with the 39 of Kyle Sieg and the 28 of Christopher Bouchard has turned this race on its head in terms of strategy. Quite a few varying ones out there. The top 15 still on the lead lap.
We had a incident with the 59 of Ryan Honeycutt that, with his disconnection, did not produce a caution, but did have 2 drivers caught up in that.
And that leaves Shane Wolfe 35 laps down currently in the garage. Honeycutt 28 laps down in the garage, and Bouchard putzing around with a lot of damage, 8 laps down currently. That's 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
And Shane Wolfe's having
your scoring screens.
Shane Wolfe is having to change an engine, so he's in there 22 minutes already. Be about a 35-minute time period he'll be in there, and he'll be back out on the track, I'm sure, to try to get some of those positions that are there for those drivers that are having struggling nights tonight.
And I don't believe Ryan Honeycutt has reconnected to fix anything he's got either. So the battle for every single point that matters, right, Harold? Getting that damage fixed and back out there. It may come down to it at the end of the season. If these guys can't win, that the points will matter. 12 drivers making it into the playoffs. And since we've already had a repeat winner this season in Cameron Hearn, the last 2 races, we will have at least 1 driver making it in on points this season in the Lodgebox series.
Well, they said it. Points matter, and every little bit, and it's frustrating, I'm sure, as a driver, when you don't have any kind of speed on your car and you're trying to just turn laps. You almost feel like you're the jam car out there, don't you?
Yeah, it certainly is not a great feeling to be so far off of pace, and you just kind of monitor what you can gain out of it. And for the case of Shane Wolfe, he'll have 1 spot, and that's it. And I would say once he gets inside of probably 50 laps to go in this race, not really much else to race for. Might finally pull it in and say we gotten all we can get tonight out of what we got. So a couple pit stops starting to happen here, Harold. The 8 of Slate and the 39 of Sieg finally finding pit road.
It's like Garrett Grant also coming down pit lane. The number 2 of Weishart has gone 40 laps. So, they kind of tricked us here. We thought 35, 36 would be it. And they're showing us that they've got more in the level of 40. So, backing this
Alan
up
Elwood
would work, yeah.
First one to hit pit road from the top 5. We'll see where he cycles out in comparison to Seidenfaden and Thieren. who have taken tires already, but they are on that alternate strategy from that first yellow that kind of flipped the race on its head with strategy.
Well, Elwood will take his second set. Here we come with Weishart and Hearn. But Elwood, you know, he could get his second set now, and then he's got another set, and he'll bring coming down probably right around lap 100 to take his last set of tires and fuel.
I will say there's 70 laps to go when the leader gets to the start finish line. So 35 laps to go. We'll be splitting it in half. That would be lap 95 for those of you keeping track of at home. Got a couple more pit stops happening here. Hearn and Weishart, as we saw, on pit road now. Christensen on pit road. The 22 of Shugart also getting to pit road, and a lot more on the radio right now finding that pit road as well. You see the 57 of Barry get himself woed up there with a little bit of wheel hop. 64 of Robertson. Here comes the 70 of Balancino. He gets it woed up in time, as well as the driver just in front of him there. I believe that's the 33 of
Ryan
Dixon.
Yeah, there we go.
Taking the moment to find him on my timing screen there. We pick up Nicholas Trader here on the backstretch. Currently running second.
With all the monitors I have here, I can go about 36 cars. So with these Aria iRacing series all running into 30 plus to 40 cars, sometimes I have to start scrolling. So it's a good problem to have, though. They've seen all these guys out here. 54 now going to be taking back over the lead here.
Cleaning up one other thing, it looks like we've had the 13 of Andrew Player lost connection to the server, so not a good night for him. Getting ready to find pit road was Andrew Player. He was running in the top 10, and now he's going to fall way out of it. And hopefully that car had enough fuel to get to pit road. Otherwise, he's got a long tow ahead of him when he finally gets reconnected.
Player was telling us yesterday he had an issue with his modem, had to completely restart everything and come back in. Hopefully that he's got that issue fixed, but usually when you see a disconnect message like we saw for Player, that usually sees something with a connection issue and not the driver manually disconnect.
We'll pick up our leader here. The 54 of Chris Seiden-Fodden has a 1.7 second lead over Shane Thieren in the 38. And actually, the guys who just stopped, Alan Elwood, Cameron Hearn, David Weishart, not too far off of these drivers. They're about 4 seconds back, and they're closing fast. About a second and a half right now faster than your front two. As we see, Weishart is actually going to work himself by Shane Thieren back here. There goes Weishart to the bottom. And Alan Elwood and Cameron Hearn in tow as well. Two different strategies. Going to be interesting to see how these play out. I'll be honest, Harold, I think if all stays green, I like the strategy of Weishart, Elwood, and Hearn a little bit better. Yep,
definitely working here as we're looking through. Gonna run through the top 10 here at the break here. And since we're right at the midway here, is Chris Seiden-Fodden in first place, 10 laps. I love that paint scheme with the skyline from Las Vegas there. And West Ralph will get the new leader, David Weishart, as he flew to the outside in that number 2 race machine. And from the Northern Capital SimSpeedShop.com ride. You see him there. Not quite sure. I think he should be in the first spot here.
Yeah, Nicholas Trader, a lapper.
Yep.
Running third right now, the 49 of Alan Elwood. Started this race on the pole and currently still hanging on to a great run, now working himself up to second, passing Seiden-Fodden there. Driver out of Columbus, Ohio. Behind him, his teammate, Cameron Hearn, the Lordstown Motors Toyota Supra. Driver out of the Valley, South Carolina. And one more teammate for good measure. These are teammates of mine. Shane Thieren from Lewistown, Massachusetts.
Involved in a little bit of a fender bender earlier in the race, but looks like he wasn't too damaged because you don't see a lot of damage on that car to be able to fix it up. Number 19, Rick Christian is in the 6th spot in his Infinity Racer. Michael Larch, track racer, in the 7th spot in the number 6. Garrett Grant, look at him. They moved himself up to the 8th spot. And he's one of the drivers with a lot of laps on his car, 25 right now. So he'll be looking on the pit lane in about 15. Rafe
We'll
Slate.
pick up two more for you. Yeah, Rafe Slate, driver from Eatonton, Georgia, with the solid rock performance. Pretty slick looking paint scheme right there for that Chevrolet Camaro. Currently running 9th. And rounding out your top 10 currently, Ed Robertson in the 64 Northern Capital Chevrolet Camaro. Got 1 lap led, that all-important bonus point, Harold. Like we said, we've got plenty of racing left in the season, but not a lot of races to go out there and score yourself points.
Jacob Bell and the guys put this lead together wanted to make sure the drivers, each and every race had a good shot of earning points, but not, getting lopsided early. So I believe it's 1 point per position. You do the points for some of our leagues. So I'll let you more to that, but I know was a pole position is a point, leading a lap is a point, leading the most laps is a point, and then the points for position.
So yeah, your normal points for position, but there are bonus points to be earned here in all of the area iRacing leagues. Leading a lap, as you said, as well as leading the most laps. Pole position, I don't actually believe awards a bonus point.
1 point. Jake's brought that up a lot. That's the only reason I remember it. Pole position gives you a point.
I'll have to check in on that, because I don't know if Cameron Hearn earned his bonus point for pole position. But there is a bonus point for finishing a race with 0 incident points. If you can get through completely clean, a lot of guys have been able to do that this season so far and take advantage of it, at least getting a point here and there. And maybe that can be the difference come down to playoff time. Cleaning up the drivers that did not stop under the first yellow, now starting to cycle through pit road. Seidenfaden in the 54 taking his service. The 5 of Garrett Grant now hitting pit road. And we'll see.
Just went back and checked on that for bonuses. Last week, Ricky Springer got the bonus point for the pole position.
I somehow totally missed that, but thank you for cleaning that up for me, because I did totally miss that. I don't know how I missed that. Yes, a bonus point for pole position.
But it's good. Like there's so many things. I can't keep track of everything. I just know Jake's been highlights it every time he's in the booth with me. Like, don't forget, that's a point. I'm like, oh, okay.
Jacob Bell, the founder and current owner of Area iRacing, putting this whole thing together in coordination with a lot of efforts, including that of Sim Speed Shop. We want to take our time to thank Sim Speed Shop for their presentation of the Cup Series, their support of the Sim Speed Shop Cup Series here in Area. Racers can visit their website at www.simspeedshop.com to find multiple items to complete their virtual racing setups, such as button boxes, wheels, racing gear, and more. That is simspeedshop.com. It's your racing gear, your sim rig gear, and have a better experience today.
We were talking about that yesterday. Just make sure that if you do get a nice big rig and you spend all that money on the Sim Speed Shop stuff, that you don't hand your remote to your daughter.
The infamous clip of Denny Hamlin's daughter turning off the screen right in front of him when the Pro Invitational Series was airing on Fox. What a great time that was, watching the actual driver step into our world here on iRacing and showing the skill they still have, even in the sim, Harold, that isn't too far off from what they see every day, or every weekend, I should say.
Well, a lot of drivers have made their way up through the ranks and started in iRacing. One of the people that you bring up is the driver I follow around, Willie B, in the 24. I mean, he started in his teen years running the iRacing services until he got picked up to put himself in a real car.
Yeah, a lot of easy ways to start on iRacing, right? It's a much cheaper alternative than buying all the parts you need for a Legends car or a late model. Although the experience is wonderful doing those forms of racing as well.
It's a lot less brutal on the body, I can tell you that.
And iRacing's been able to do some really cool things on top of that, right? I mean, just look at what they've been able to do with the first mock-up of a short track race inside of the Los Angeles Coliseum. What we're going to see for a 2022 Clash. It's pretty exciting, and they got to take that next gen car and actually get a real test on top of the iRacing data they gathered at Bowman Gray this past weekend. We saw the likes of Dale Earnhardt Jr., Clint Boyer, and Tony Stewart turning laps at Bowman Gray. And those shots, Harold, I don't know if you were able to see them, were absolutely incredible. Some of the pictures that people were able to capture from that test.
Testing is nice. You know, what I'd like to see is iRacing. If you're listening to my broadcast here, I would love to see you guys reach out to Tony and get the SRX series in here. Like, you know, talk about having a lot of fun, because I love the IROC series back when Tony raced it. And with the short track racing experience that he has is fantastic with those cars. You know, take the pit crew out of it, take the machine out of it, put the drivers in charge. And that's what we like here. Most of the drivers in iRacing, you know, I don't know about you. I like fixed setups because I don't have to worry about, you know, tweaking on the tuning of the car, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
That is one thing that I will say. I'm probably different than a lot of people. I absolutely love being able to tinker with these things. And honestly, Harold, at the end of a long run, I like being able to know what to adjust to make my car better for the next one, instead of just having to suffer through the same condition over and over again if a fixed set isn't too perfect to our liking. Meanwhile, we got a pass here for second place.
Yep. 15.
Cameron Hearn sliding his teammate Alan Elwood. Back to our racing action. This battle going on about 1.8 seconds behind your leader, David Weishart. We tick inside, 50 laps to go.
Yeah, these guys, as I said, with the experience of the Xfinity drivers, have shown that they're picking and choosing when to battle the other race cars to keep their, I'm sure they're all worried about tire wear, because they didn't have a lot of tires to choose from. I mean, you don't have an extra set. Most of these guys are going to have only the one set that they need to get to the end, no spares at all.
Yeah, we'll see. They're looking to take their final tire set here when they get to that window. If it is 40 laps like they stretched it the last time out, we're just inside 20 laps from those pit stops, which will put them right around 20 to go, or excuse me, 25 to 28 to go left in the race. One driver on pit road is Shane Thieren in the 38. He was one of those that stayed out under that first yellow Harold, and is now finally taking his tires. Seidenfaden in a much shorter stint for him. So we'll see. Thieren is going to come out one lap down currently on the chart. So he's got a lot of ground to make up, but he may have that extra set of tires if Shane can catch caution at the right time. And while we let Shane Thieren's run play out, we're going to step away from the bikes for a moment so you can enjoy the sights and sounds of One to Go Studios here for the Lodgebox series at Las Vegas. invite you, if you did turn those dials up, to turn them back down as we rejoin the broadcast here. The Las Vegas 195, presented by One to Go Studios, here for the Lodgebox series in the Area iRacing League. Currently, David Weishart, your leader, 1.3 seconds ahead of second place Cameron Hearn. They have dropped Alan Elwood, who currently runs third at the back of our picture there, some 2.5 seconds off the lead. And Harold, this race is starting to take shape here with the last 30, 40 laps remaining in it. We're coming actually to 41 to go at the line next time by. Most of these drivers still facing down one more stop. I saw Michael Larch make a pit stop about 6-7 laps ago. I think he might be the last to that could potentially make it to the end, but he'd have to save quite a bit.
Yeah, he would have to do 49 laps. I don't think that's going to happen.
The only driver that I think is the closest is a 38 of Shane Theron. He's completed 7 laps since he put the tires on. And he's got a long way to go if he's going to try to save enough.
And that would still be 47 laps. I'm not sure if that's possible, but, you know.
If he has a clutch pedal, that might help things a little bit. David Weishart's still your leader, though. He's catching a couple bits of lap traffic here and there. Lane Doyle, actually, in that blue and gray car, just made his stop and is moving back forward as well.
Top 10 still have to get down to pits here. Seidenfaden in the number 54 is in the 11th spot. He's at 19 laps on his tires, so he might see him start moving up through the field some. But he'll still have to stop again. I'm pretty sure everybody still has to stop one more time until we start seeing in about 5 laps. I think the guys would be good if they stopped here to the end. They could take it to the finish from here. Nobody who's on the track right now has enough. I don't think.
I would agree with that, Harold. And I'd say right about now is when we think that window is open. We've seen a couple guys go 41 laps, and we're down to 38 to go, and they crossed the line here. So the pit window to make it to the end is open. It's just a matter of when is the right time. Now, I'll ask you that question, Harold. When is the right time for the drivers up front here, Weishart, Hearn, Elwood, Christensen, Slate, to make that final stop?
With the front 4, I'm going to try to get the most I can out of these tires without losing much. I mean, as long as I got these guys 10, 20 seconds behind me, I'm going to let the car continue to roll. That way I've got the best set of tires to get to the finish line with.
No, Hearn and Weishart pushed it 1 lap further than Elwood last stint around. So we'll see if the same thing happens this time around. Ticking inside 37 laps to go. Weishart, seeing a lot of drivers here starting to migrate to that middle lane in 1 and 2. I think they're just trying to ride above the bumps that are so bad on the bottom of 1 and 2. The bottom is still the place to be in 3 and 4. Still baked in sunshine over here on that end of the racetrack, but turns 1 and 2 getting more and more shade by the minute. It is 4:30 local time here in the sim. The sun's starting to get behind those billboards and almost behind the grandstand over here at turn 1 entry.
Got our buddy Jake Bill, got his ears on, watching on his laptop, I believe, because he was unable to make it tonight. Probably he's having some work done at the house, and one part about iRacing is we have to be connected to an internet that's actually pretty good. So outside of his garage, I guess is the best way to say that.
Oh, absolutely. He was able to start and park in the truck series, one of the ones that he is really focusing on this season. So still earning points in that one. And on top of that, Harold, creeping into the back of the picture here, the 15 of Cameron Hearn, going for that 3 in a row streak. He's getting closer and closer.
Cameron Hearn, in all the time I've covered races with him in it, always seems to find a way. He says, never count the 15 out. I asked him, I think I asked him last week if he's starting to feel a target on his back, like is the joke in the garage is anyone but Cameron. The point that even one of his cars has a car in the truck series says not Cameron Hearn on it. So we're looking at lap 98 of the 130 slated tonight. I was saying about lap 100, we'll start seeing guys come down for their final set the pit stop. Looks like Rick Christensen is the 19 is coming down pit lane right now in the 4th position. The first driver in the top coming down for his service. Looks like David Weishart giving up the lead to Cameron Hearn. Comes down pretty hot down pit lane. He'll get his 4 tires and fuel as here's race leader, number 15, Cameron Hearn. Rowdy giving a shout out to the 56 and 84, the One Mind Two Designs drivers tonight. It'll be Nick Trader and Forrest Smith. Hearn in the 15 coming down pit lane, giving the lead to Ed Robertson in the 64. As you see, Rick Christensen coming out just in front of the 64 to maintain that lap. Actually, Christensen is a lap down, so that would be keeping him from getting 2 laps down. Here's your leader. Cameron Hearn on pit lane. So Robertson and Ballacino, Nick Trader, Brian Dixon, all looking for another set of pit stops, and Chris Seidenfaden at 54. He'll need to come down one more time as well. First driver looks like he's good to the end is Alan Elwood. He just put up the fastest time of the race at 49. Right behind Elwood is Weishart, also good to the end. We see Brian Dixon go down to pit lane. Very shaded in that corner there. You see that on your screen there. As they're now catching up to that number 54 machine to 49, going low underneath the 54. Number 2 will look for the same spot coming off of turn number 4. That will put the 54 a lap down. Actually, not put him a lap down, put him further down in the lead lap. The 5th spot. Hearn now the fastest car on the track of 33.99. So Ballacino being scored as the race leader with Nick Trader, but as Ballacino comes down pit lane, will give up the lead to Nicholas Trader. And he is coming down pit lane as well. So Elwood regains the lead with the car that he could take to the finish line.
Final stops underway. We saw Elwood and Weishart there make their stops and already back out on track. They're within half a second of each other. Elwood gonna have a tight moment there with Shugart in the 22. Not making things easy for either driver, but probably a little harder for the leader. And Shugart didn't want to go another lap down.
Looking a lap down right now is Ballacino in the Lucky Dogs position in the 12th spot. The race leaders are 1 car length apart, the 49 and the 2, with Cameron Hearn set back 2.2 seconds as he's cutting into that lead.
And this is your battle for a race win right here. Almost side by side as they held off into one. The 49 of Elwood and the 2 of Weishart. This is 26 to go. And already side by side. Can Alan Elwood hang on?
With a side-by-side battle going on, Cameron Hearn smiling from ear to ear as he's able to catch up to these guys while they're battling each other. He's able to get his car within 2 seconds of the race leaders.
to the bottom through 1 and 2. Weishart, now your leader, crossover from Elwood down the backstretch. He's going to try to get to the bottom in 3 and 4. I just don't know that Alan Elwood has enough to hang on here. He's going to try to clear the 2. He can't get it done. They're going to stay side by side off of 4.
Cameron Hearn chopping that lead down to 1.7 seconds as Elwood takes to the inside of the apron. Inside turns 1 and 2 with number 2, Weishart, on the outside as he's running that mid to high groove. 49 is going to tuck in behind him. Probably let those tires cool off a bit and take it and try it again.
Weishart to the lead over Elwood. Still 1.5 seconds now over Cameron Hearn. He's 0.2 of a second a lap faster than these two with 23 laps to go at the line. He's got plenty of time to get there if he can have enough tire life over these two as they work their way through lap traffic. The 32 of Lane Doyle was having himself a great debut here in the Lodgebox series. Still running 10th, but now going a lap down, and he's going to get passed here for position by the 70 of Alan Ballacino in the back of our picture there.
Ballacino remains the first car, a lap down at number 70, metallic purple. It's Hearn now within 1.6 seconds of the race leader. Now Weishart off by himself, now 0.6 over Elwood. Elwood had a heck of a time with that lap car of Lane Doyle. Look at him pinched down low, and that didn't help him out any. Jake Bell commenting on the Twitch and saying that both Weishart and Elwood would definitely love to have one of these, have this checkered flag today.
Especially after the season start Elwood has had. We documented at the top end of our broadcast. Weishart hasn't actually made every single race here in the Lodgebox series. He's missed one, that being the second race at Homestead, I believe, is the one that he missed out on. Give me a moment here. We'll go back and fact check that.
I believe that is correct. But we saw him down past, I believe, on the wrong end of the cut line right now. It's both Weishart and Elwood.
Yep, doing what they need to do to make sure that they can work themselves into the playoff picture.
Hearn is now past Elwood for the second spot, leaving Weishart 1.6 seconds in the race lead.
He's actually coming under pressure here. Ballacino says, I don't want the lucky dog. I'm going to earn it back the hard way. The old school way, 70 getting by the 2. Puts himself back in the lead lap. Now Ballacino just needs a caution basically to flip it back so he can get tied up with these guys again. That puts 10 cars of the 25 entries we've had tonight on the lead lap.
10 drivers up on the lead lap. 57 of Jordan Berry getting up out of the way. As you see Ballacino with his, I guess he's got better tires with only 8 laps on him than the number 2 of Weishart with 14. Is able to drive away. And Cameron Hearn 1.3 seconds now, and he's cutting into that lead for Weishart.
Hearn was 2.5 tenths faster that last lap. Took a big chunk out of Weishart's lead. He's the fastest on track, turning the fastest lap time of the race so far, 30.35. They've fallen off since then, about 15 laps on these tires now for these drivers. 31.2s are pretty much where they're at, anywhere between the 31.2 and the 31.6, depending on how good of a lap they turn. Turn there. Another 3/10 as Harold said right there, taking it out.
Yeah, definitely doing that. But I think Hearn is just buying his time here. He's got it. He's kind of doing that backward planning of I need a little bit here, a little bit there, but he's able to slowly bring in Weishart. But these tires, we talked about it in the beginning here that this was going to be the key to this race was tires and fuel, but they do have it to the end. So they have what they have, and it's where the crew chief goes and gets himself a donut or an ice cream cone.
And for most of these drivers, they have made their final stops. Cleaning up Theron in 5th place in the 38 car. Still needs to make a stop unless he's somehow been able to stretch his fuel 47 laps for the stint, which we don't think was doable. And also the 6 of Michael Larch, probably about 5 laps away from pitting for himself. Theron probably closer to about 9 laps away from pitting with 15 to go.
See, Hearn now has caught the draft. The model for the iRacing is about 8/10, and you'll start feeling that car from in front of you. So he's within that bubble.
And this might be, Harold, where Cameron Hearn stalls out. The dirty air might play enough havoc on the front end of that number 15. We shall see here on the next couple laps. Hearn was able to take about a 10th out from Weishart there. Weishart up the track through 3 and 4 a little bit. Kind of a different line. I don't know that really helped him. Looks like Hearn is closing the gap here on the front stretch. Difference that last lap, another 10th in favor of Cameron Hearn.
The different lines they take through turns 1 and 2. You're talking about 1 and 2 being awful bumpy down low. Hearn took that pretty much straddling the low and the mid line through 1 and 2 as they both straddled the white line or touched the white line with their lefts coming off of turn 4.
Yeah, 1 and 2 can be pretty bumpy down there on the bottom, but I think Cameron's probably just trying to dump some clean air on the left front of his car, kind of get a little more downforce on his car, a little more grip in the nose if you can get that clean air on it, and that equals to a little bit better lap time for the 15. Another 10th faster than Weishart there, so if he continues to take a 10th out, it will be about 4 to go, and we see him finally get there.
You know, Cameron Hearn, though, is putting himself in a position, but, you know, it's always that adage of you can catch him, but can you pass him?
Harold, where does Cameron Hearn have to get it done if he's going to make this pass for the lead?
He's good. Look, his desire is going to be taking it low, but I don't think Weishart is going to give him that option. He's going to probably have to take it through the high side of turn, probably for turn 3 and 4. Or do a slide or a crossover coming off of the stripe to 1 and 2 to go dive to the inside. But I'm looking for a high side pass off of 4.
I don't know if we'll get to ride in car here with the 2 of Weishart. See how he's looking to try to defend this final push inside 10 laps to go for this number 2. There we go. We got our onboard shot in the sim rig of David Weishart, and his eyes constantly looking up in the mirror, and as well as his timing screen that he probably has above his monitors there. He keeps looking up to see his gap between he and Cameron Hearn. Definitely closing inside of 0.3 of a second, down to 0.2 of a second that last time by.
Now, would you use a lap car as a pick?
James Shane Wolfe out here turning as many laps as he can, trying to make sure he gets that pass on Honeycutt. He did. He's actually got one more spot in front of him. If he can go another 3 laps, he'll be able to pass Christopher Bouchard, who has fallen out of the race as well. Cameron Hearn getting everything he can get off these corners as we continue to ride in the sim rig of David Weishart out here in the lead, trying to defend from driver who's won the last 2 races here in the Lodgebox series. Cameron Hearn, he's there.
He's looking for an inside pass. Well, then he decides to tuck it back in. Very similar to the shot that we had last week with you in Auto Club with Cameron Hearn as well. And Jacob Bell was out there with you.
I tell you what, it is super fun racing against Cameron Hearn because he is one of the fastest out here. But man, is it stressful. And I'm sure David Weishart is under a ton of stress right now. Hearn to the top as the lapper on fresh tires. That'd be the 5 of Garrett Grant getting by. And also I believe that's the 6 of Michael Larch as well. That's going to give Cameron Hearn his chance. He's got the bottom through 3 and 4. The pass for the lead between the 15 and the 2. They're going to be side by side off of 4 coming to the line.
Side by side, Cameron Hearn has a nose. Hearn not quite clear there, the number 2 on the high side. And Shane Wolfe able to keep his car with these guys with that front clip completely off that car.
New leader, new driver on point. The 15 of Cameron Hearn. David Weishart giving it everything he had, just catching that lap traffic at the most unfortunate time, shuffling himself up out of line and opening the door for the 15, who has been a tenth of a lap faster up until then. We'll see if he can pull out his lead now inside of 5 to go. Cameron Hearn showing why he's won the last 2 races, getting it done here late if he can hang on.
Cameron Hearn has definitely the right set of tires to the end here with 5 laps to go. He's starting to extend his lead. He's in a good spot. No one around him. You can just concentrate on getting the best line, not having to fight anyone at all. So he's definitely using all the racetrack that he needs to finish this race up.
One more housekeeping for you. Shane Theron has made, and the 6 of Michael Large have made their final pit stops for the race. 6 laps off, or 6 laps already on those tires for those guys. Theron coming out 12th, Larch coming out 16th. We saw Larch there driving away from the leaders. Theron is looking to chase down Kyle Sieg in the 39. We continue to ride on board with the 15 inside of 3 laps to go. Harold, does David Weishart have enough in him to try to recuperate himself here in these last 3?
He's close with Shane Wolfe is giving him a shot here by helping him with a draft, which is weird for a car with so much damage on it. As the 51 sliding through the grass, but he stays off of the racing surface. Guess he was coming down pit lane if he won.
Ricky Springer almost bringing a yellow out. That was actually pretty dangerous, and I'm sure these guys would not have been happy for that late race yellow if it would have happened. Shane Wolfe, a teammate, I believe, to David Weishart, trying everything he can to help him out. I just don't know that it's going to be enough. As they come off of turn 4 for the second to last time, we're going to see the white flag in the air for the 15 of Cameron Hearn, looking to close out and make it 3 in a row here in the Lodgebox series.
Shane Wolfe does race sometimes for Samson. I'm not sure if he's actually racing for them in this division, but there is a allied in that car with Shane Wolfe there.
The 1 to go, presented by 1 to go Studios, is gonna see Cameron Hearn through turns 3 and 4. It's the Cameron Hearn Show. Here early in the Lodgebox Series season, Cameron Hearn, 3 times a winner this season, ahead of David Weishart. Coming home 3rd, Alan Elwood, 3 seconds back. Elwood qualifying so well on pole, just couldn't quite close it out, but a huge rebound for him from his start to the season. Rick Christensen will come home 4th, and Rafe Slate rounding out the top 5, but it's Cameron Hearn, Harold, who is just showing his dominance in the Xfinity car here in the Lodgebox Series.
He's definitely a car to watch out for every single night. It's hard to beat that car. You have to have a different system in mind, because he seems to have the ability to find his way to the front. It's like a hound dog sniffing to the front every time. So we got the 15 there, going to grab the checkered flag.
Huge win for Cameron Hearn, stacking up more playoff points toward his postseason. But storylines, 3 in a row, I mean, that's just incredible. And with next week being a 5th unique track in Dover, will be interesting to see if Cameron Hearn can continue his dominance. But it's all about tonight here in the Lodgebox Series, Las Vegas 195. And Cameron Hearn closing it out late over David Weishart. Interviews with your top 3 finishers coming up.
All right, start pulling drivers up in here for you.
So we'll go ahead and get our winner as soon as he's done taking his, or excuse me, our third place driver. Well, our winner could take his lap around. Alan Elwood, you finally break the curse that's on you for the start of the season. You get yourself out of the slump. Take us through that third place run tonight.
Well, I'm happy and disappointed at the same time because I'm normally really good here, and I'm not to say that I wasn't tonight, but that caution early on kind of like Cameron and I just set sail and we felt good, about where we were, of course, and just that caution came out, and just like Auto Club last week before I had the incident, I just got stuck on the low line, but behind a bunch of people that either didn't pit or just took fuel, and you have to be on the outside to be able to generate runs down the back straight there on the start, and that's where Cameron got me, and I think Weishart got around me right there on that first lap too. So that kind of set me back, and then I was just trying to play the strategy game and hope that short pitting would work, and it really just didn't. That first run, I didn't get out ahead of David, and at that point I was just kind of at the mercy of Cameron, which Cameron just, these mile and a half tracks, the dude's got amazing pace and just somehow pulls that thing out. So I don't really know that I had anything for him at the end, but all in all, good run.
We saw you have the speed. You qualified it on pole. You said, and you kind of already answered this next question I had, but I was going to say, where did the switch kind of flip for you that you weren't going to be able to quite keep up with Hearn and Weishart as the run carried on through to the end of the race?
As soon as that first green flag pit stop happened and I came out behind Weishart after I had pitted one lap earlier, I knew I was done for. I tried to short pit again and actually got out ahead of him, but that was because he pitted 2 laps later, which, I was only able to do so much and try to hold him off as best I could. And I was kind of hoping that maybe I knew that Cameron had pitted a lap after he did. So maybe if I raced him a little bit and tried to slow him down, maybe he would burn up his tires a little bit more for Cameron to catch him. I still don't think he probably would have had anything for Cameron, but just trying to look out for the team too, and try to best to get our, both of us on the podium. But yeah, just after that first pit stop, I kind of accepted my fate and knew that was probably gonna be a third place car.
Well, before we let you get out of here, Alan, you got Dover ahead of you next week. How excited are you to finally go to our 5th unique track for the 5th race of the season?
Dover's a good track for me. I do have really good pace there. Last time I went to Dover in a league race, it didn't end so well, so I'm hoping for redemption on that aspect. To hope to get another podium there, but all in all, it's a really fast racetrack. Just got to keep the thing under you. It's going to be a long race, and just got to complete all the laps and hope that you're there at the end.
Alrighty, well, before we let you get away from us, who helps you get it done on that 49 team?
Just all the guys at VRA, of course. I know, Eric, you're part of that, man. I appreciate all you do, and thanks for coming up here in the booth with Harold, and you guys for broadcasting tonight. Cameron, awesome job getting 3rd win now in the series. Just outstanding. Shane, doing the best he could with strategy tonight. Didn't quite bring it home as where he would like to have, but good job on his part and everybody else on the team, and looking forward to Dover. Let's get after it.
Alrighty, well, that is the driver of the number 49 Toyota Supra, Alan Elwood from VRA. Your 3rd place finisher tonight here at the Las Vegas 195. Harold, I believe you've caught up with our 2nd place finisher, David Weishart.
Hey, David, it's Harold and Eric in the booth. Eric from Race Control from the night before. So it's like not a big deal here for the number 2 in the simspeedshop.com. And I heard something about you wanted the bright paint scheme. Is that because you didn't want anybody to hit you, or didn't, or what was the deal for that today?
Oh, I've always just liked bright paint schemes. So that was the deal with that. It just I'm really picky about my paint schemes, and that I just feel like looking good, you feel good, right?
That's for sure. I mean, you were able to 75 laps led, so pretty sure you locked up the most laps led tonight. Nobody else could do more than that. And you were in the lead in the last green flag pit stop. I mean, we saw you on the cam looking up, so So let us know if we were right saying that you have a timing screen up at probably the upper right corner from where you're driving.
Yeah, I was watching the relative hard that last run, so yeah, that last run, I'm not too happy with some of the cars out there. Some of the lap cars was it was pretty ignorant. So I mean, we're racing with 5 to go. They want to get their lap back, but they need to understand who they're racing around, and going 3 wide and putting me and Cameron in those kind of positions while we're racing for the win. I'm not too happy about it.
That's something they'll have to work on, but something in the drivers' meeting for next week. Now, I saw the 83 of Shane Wolfe have enough to push you around the racetrack. Were you surprised about that?
My tires were kind of gone there just because of trying to get around those lap cars, and he just had the fresher tires. He came out and he did his best to push me. He told me he was going to try to give me some help, but I couldn't get off the corners. I appreciate him for trying to help, but I don't know how much difference it really would have made.
He was definitely trying a whole lot there. So, Wishart, before we let you go, man, who you want to thank on your teammates, your sponsors, before we let you go for tonight's podium finish number 2?
I just want to thank Sim Speed Shop for letting me put their logo on the car, and y'all for broadcasting, Jacob Bell for putting this whole deal on, and everybody at Samson Motorsports. I wasn't racing for Samson tonight, but obviously I'm part of that team, and Russ Anderson at Northern Capital for what they do for our team and the truck series and all that. And just thank everybody from Samson and for helping out.
All right, David Weishart, number 2 machine on the second position for tonight. Let you get back to the garage for your debrief, and we'll get with tonight's winner.
Thanks, guys.
All right, gonna catch up with the number 15 Lordstown Motors car of Cameron Hearn. Cameron, you're in the booth, man, with Eric and Harold.
What's up, guys?
Cameron, what an incredible run you're on. This is 3 weeks in a row you've been the first to the checkered flag. First, take us through that final few laps sequence with David Weishart and some lap traffic helping you out to get on by for the win.
Yeah, it was really intense racing all night. But lap traffic, I felt like the beginning of the run kind of hurt me. But I was on fresher tires, so I didn't really lose that much time. But when you're on old tires like that, battling, I think David was 3 wide. I think we were 3 wide at one time in the tri-oval. Just had enough to get there. I definitely caught him at the right time, to use it to my advantage, and kind of going the outside of him. And with old tires, it's hard not to wash up. But he raced me hard, raced me clean. Give a shout out to Alan. Alan battled with him with a few lap older tires, and I could use every 1/10 of a second and every little rubber that rubs off David. And that's the thing about having fast teammates out here. If you have a guy that runs up front with you, it definitely helps you out, and it's a big asset.
We saw the pacing that you had all night long. Take us through. You had a little bit different strategy than some of the guys in the field. Now we know it didn't work out for the drivers of the 54 like Chris Seidenfaden or the 38 of Shane Thier and your teammate. But was that first pit stop call a little scary for you? Only 20 laps into the race, taking your first set of tires.
It was definitely scary. Like after I pitted, I was like, I think we might have messed up on this one, but it worked out. And I really wish there was one more set so you really don't have lead it up to chance what happens to you. There's a lot of fast guys, like you mentioned earlier, that kind of never had a chance for the win to compete because a caution never came out. But if a caution would have came out at the end of the race, we would be kind of sitting ducks. So I really wish we'd have this one more set. Still have a little bit of strategy with tires in it, but just one more set. I felt like I learned a little bit from running behind Alan. He was good on the first run. On the long run, he started pulling away from me. And then on the second run, David, pulled away from me. So I don't think I was the fastest car at the beginning or mid race. But when you have fast guys around you, you're able to see what they're doing a little bit differently. And I feel like that's kind of what I excel at. I'm not usually at the fastest in qualifying or, the first half of the race, but I kind of learn as the race progresses and kind of watch what everybody else is doing.
So 4 races done here in the Lodgebox series, 4 different types of tracks. We've had a 1.5 mile oval. We've had the D-shape oval, Auto Club. Now the the tri-oval shape here at Las Vegas, also a mile and a half. But now next week you get to go to Dover, a mile, high banked, fast racetrack. Does Cameron Hearn continue to show his dominance on every type of racetrack, or is there a weak point in that number 15 Toyota Supra?
I will say I'm really fast there, but I have a teammate. Alan's really fast there too. I think we've ran some leagues over the years, and that's one of his better tracks. I think I'll be fast, but there should be the usual suspects, and there's a lot of fast guys that maybe had some bad luck and caught up in incidents, so you never really know who's a car to beat. But I'm fairly confident, we'll have a chance at it, and that's what we go in week out to hope for.
All righty. Well, before we let you get away from us, who helps the 15 team out and get into victory lane these past 3 weeks?
Man, I just want to give a shout out to all the guys at VRA. Even if the guys aren't racing tonight, give a huge shout out to Alan. He showed me some stuff during the race. He helped me battle David when they were all, coming out of the pits, the last run. Definitely was a huge asset. Give a shout out to Shane tonight. He was on that weird, he stayed out. Tire strategy kind of messed him up a little bit, but it was one of the things he might have been sitting pretty, contending for the win if caution when it came out. But all the sponsors, Northern Capital, Lodgebox, Swift Lifestyles, and of course Sim Speed Shop. Appreciate you guys for the broadcast. You guys do an awesome job. I say the same thing every week. Maybe I get better at doing this. Give a shout out to Jacob. It's a hell of a league, and that's why I took the tires early on, because there's so many guys out here who can race you hard, race you clean. There's not a lot of cautions. So it leads to a lot of green flag racing, green flag pit stops, and I've enjoyed that. And give a shout out to my dad. He's probably my biggest fan, maybe my only fan. But he tunes in and watches every week. So I'm glad he watches me, and it's cool to get some wins. And just all the guys that show up. David, Rick Christensen, he's always consistent. He finally, got in the top 5. I think he's deserved a couple of those this year. Stayed out of trouble tonight. Give a shout out to him. But all the guys that show up week in, week out. Like I said last week, I think we've had some new people join. But if you like what you see, you like green flag racing, like guys that are going to race you hard but race you clean, come and join us. We got open spots in this series and the Cup Series. I'm looking forward to seeing some new faces. And like anyone asked me if you might need any tips or anything, I will help you out. I'm an open book. It's a fixed setup. It's a fixed league. I can help people get faster, help better racing. I'm all for it. And just thank you guys again for the broadcast. It's awesome.
Okay, Cameron, it's Harold again, man. I asked you last week. I'm gonna ask you again. How big is the target?
I guess it's something
growing. That's the answer. It's growing, right? It's growing pretty big.
But it's really awesome. Things are just clicking. Like I said last week, things are falling in place for me with strategy and stuff. But it was really cool to race David and Alan out tonight. We were all in the same strategy, pitting the different laps and stuff. But it was cool to be able to battle, and that's all I can ask for. That makes it enjoyable. Even I'd rather finish second battling hard for the win, than winning the race. I'm not really having a bat. It's all about fun, and it was fun tonight. I wasn't the fastest car, but I was fast when it counted. So that's all I can ask for.
All right, Cameron. Hey, with me and Eric, we'll let you get back to celebrating in victory lane as we go over the rest of the race results. See you next week at Dover, and tomorrow night right back here in the Cup Cars.
I appreciate it, guys. You guys have a good night.
All right, talk to you later. So Eric, man, we gotta go. We have a couple little things we gotta take care of. Here's our race recap for tonight, presented by Elwood Designs for the ARIA race recap. For race number 4, Cameron Hearn led 21 laps and wins the race. 1 caution for 4 laps. 25 drivers took to the green flag, and Cameron Hearn, go figure, had the fastest lap at 30.359.
Not quite the Cameron Hearn show that we've seen the past 2 weeks. Weishart running up front there, taking the most laps that led tonight, but it's still at the end is Cameron Hearn as we go through our Lodgebox Series race results from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Cameron Hearn, your winner tonight, ahead of David Weishart there with a late race pass. Alan Elwood coming home 3rd. Rick Christensen in there at 4th, and race slate rounding out the top 5. You got Ed Robertson that held on to the lead lap in 6th. Alan Balancino, we saw him drive from the lucky dog position, getting his lap back, just couldn't quite catch that late race yellow. 56 of Nicholas Trader, 1 lap down. Chris Seidenfaden on that alternate strategy didn't work out for him, but he did manage to get back to 9th place. And Brian Dixon scoring I believe, his first top 10 of the season.
11 through 20 is Kyle Sieg in the 39. 38 of Shane Theron in the 12th spot. Forrest Smith in the 84. In the 13, a lap down, Garrett Grant in the 5. 15th was 6 of Michael Larch. 2 laps now down was Lane Doyle in the 32. Eric Shugart also 2 laps down in the 22 and 17th spot. Jordan Berry and Ricky Springer also 2 laps down in 18th and 19th. And Dean Gagliano 3 laps down in the 34 and 20th position.
21st tonight, Andrew Player disconnected there late in the race. Unfortunately, his internet dropped out. 22nd for the 99 of Dean Prince, also getting caught up in trouble tonight. The rest of these guys, unfortunately, not able to finish the race the way they wanted. 23rd of James Shane Wolfe. We saw him trying to help Weishart there at the end with his new motor after sitting on pit road for 30 minutes to get that thing replaced. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him, but he did gain 2 spots. 24th, Chris Bouchard, 68 laps down. And Ryan Honeycutt got caught up on that green flag lap incident, something that I'm sure the admins are going to be looking at already. 105 laps down after he yelled at Ford in the middle of an accident. And I don't know if there was a bit of rage there or what. But Harold, before we sign off for the night, any last thoughts from the Lodgebox Series race here at Las Vegas?
As I said, Cameron Hearn having a big target on his back. Might as well be with the 41 target car. Basically, because, you know, they're all talking in the garage. We want to see somebody other than the number 15 of Cameron Hearn to win.
Yeah, what a run for Cameron Hearn. 3 races in a row now, scoring victories at Homestead Auto Club and Las Vegas. Catch us next week, starting at 8:45 here on the Area iRacing channel for the Lodgebox Series Race 5 from Dover. And catch us here tomorrow night. I'm going to strap myself into my sim rig for the Sim Speed Shop Cup Series. Harold and Jacob and Hunter, Ken, will have the call for you here on Area iRacing, 8:45 tomorrow night. Make sure you tune in for that. Until the next one, ladies and gentlemen, this is from Harold as the producer of One to Go Studios and myself, Eric Wineland, your voice tonight. I want to say thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.
What an exciting race brought to you by One to Go Studios. Here they come out of turn 4 to the white flag, and it's 1 to go. Thank you to all our sponsors, drivers, and viewers. We'll see you at the next turn.